my friend. Today, I wanted to remind you to stop putting yourself down by listening the voice of criticism and self-loathing in your head. You know what? If you would be your best friend, you would talk to yourself differently. You would show respect to you. You would appreciate. You would be proud. You would be supportive. You would be honest and truthful. You would look yourself into the eyes and you would look at these thoughts as just something that's partially right. There's another story as well, but because you live in your mind, you only believe the story that is constantly repeating to yourself. Most of the time you don't question, is it true? Is it correct? Is there another story? That's the power of community, when we come together with other individuals and they share with us different thoughts, or when we read a new book and we recognize there's a completely new way to look at this situation. So today I want to give you 10 different reminders that will help you to see yourself and the stories that are running in your mind differently. And I will share with you 8 things not to feel guilty about anymore. Because it's time for you to upgrade it. It's time for you to level up your story, because your life is a product of your story, and your story is a product of your conditioning, and your conditioning is a product of your environment. But hey, my friend, you don't need to be a product of your environment. You can actually shape your environment so it becomes a product of you. And then who are you, right? Maybe intellectually you understand, I am this great soul that is walking through life and experiencing things, but well, when you're having these dark days, you don't feel like that, right? Well, this video today will help you to return back to you and raise your frequency and get your power back, take your energy back, and focus back on creating the best life for you. I'm playing today to you also one of my paintings, so you can focus more on the message, and the painting can also put you into almost like a trance state where you will be even more open for the message. So to anyone who would like to get a print of today's painting, you can go into AttractPassion.com and you will find all my paintings there, or the link in the description. Having, my art somewhere can remind you of these messages, so every time you look at it, you can be reminded of what we've been talking about. So there's an ancient concept that's called akrasia. I'm not sure if I've pronounced it correctly, but it means weakness of will. It's something that many philosophers have been exploring, it like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And it refers to the state of acting against one's better judgment, or failing to do what one believes to be right. So how many times you know what you should do, or you know what you want to start, or you know where you want to go, or you know what would be healthy for you, or you know what kind of new habits or what kind of new routines you want to apply in your life, but then you just don't start. You could go into the gym, but then you don't go. You could change your job, but then you don't look for new opportunities. That there's you could call that person out, but you don't, because fear is taking you out, right? Fear is taking you down. And this fear of judgment, or fear of failing, or fear of being mistreated, or fear of re-experiencing everything again, even though maybe you find a new job, things can repeat, right? And then you fall into this loop of overthinking, and in that loop you never solve problems, right? Because if you would solve problems in this loop of thinking and feeling, you would resolve all your problems already. But you haven't, because it doesn't help. You can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it, right? So firstly, you need to pull yourself out of the problem, out of the situation that feels problematic to you, or challenging, or something that is maybe lowering down your energy. And when I feel like that, and I do feel like that sometimes, what I do, I change the place where I am. I go outside, I go to travel, I just change my environment because it always helps me to think differently. And then I sit down with myself and I ask myself, okay, if I would be a friend of mine, how would I talk to myself? How would I listen all these thoughts that are repeating in my mind? And where can I do some reframing? What is reframing? Reframing means that you take one thought that maybe says to you, I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm constantly failing into old habits. You look at the trigger, what triggered that? And you may say, oh, because I woke up, I had no energy and I couldn't start with that new habit or that new routine or whatever. But then reframing that means, okay, I am trying, but maybe I don't know what would help me the most. So let's see where I can learn something constructive. Or you may be like, I've already learned it and I've applied it and it didn't work. And you need to find out why it didn't work. Maybe consistency was painful. Maybe trying it over and over again was not truly worth it. Maybe you haven't decided what are goals you're striving towards, or what would just pull you into a higher state of energy. Just maybe knowing that you don't need to do it for anybody else, or maybe because you don't have anybody else, you feel like it's not worth it to change just for yourself. So it would be good if you could create something that you could hold yourself accountable. And those are all tools we can, bring into our lives, like becoming a part of a community or finding a mentor, a coach. I'm doing one-on-one coaching and you can book a call with me in the link in the description. Like doing something that you can start holding yourself accountable will lead you into a new way. And once you start doing it in a fresh new way, you will notice how bad it was before, or how better you feel now as you're doing it in a new way. And yes, changing your environment is so helpful. Sometimes just turning your home completely around and reorganizing everything, putting some new things on the wall, cleaning everything, all of that can help, right? Lisa Hayes said, be careful how you're talking to yourself because you are listening. You're always listening. In ancient teachings, they said there's the inner mind, the subliminal mind, or the superconscious mind that is always listening, and then it just helps, it communicates with life, so life brings to you everything you said to yourself. That's where people invented affirmations. But affirmations don't work if they're not experienced emotionally. So when you're talking to yourself, also make sure you're really in tune with this language that you're saying to yourself. So you have a time where you're maybe out on a walk, or you sit down with yourself and you truly say something empowering to you, and then you feel it and you visualize it and then you do something about it. Then replace criticism with compassion. Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Replace criticism with compassion. And you've heard these things before, but it's a practice. It's a practice that we need to develop. Like, after, I would say, maybe 12, 13 years, I've been in these fields and exploring and learning these things. Now I'm noticing how much more I've become compassionate towards myself. When I start maybe blaming myself or judging myself or fighting with myself, I just catch these thoughts and I become compassionate. Like, ask yourself, how would you show compassion to someone? It's not people pleasing, it's just finding another way to look at it, right? Another way that can be more supportive, that can be more loving and maybe more gentle. And practicing it is work. So also practice self-respect, my friend. Practice self-respect. And this one is big. So how would you live if you would respect yourself? How would you treat yourself if you would respect yourself? Would you allow yourself to fall into lower habits, into lower energy, or would you actually make sure you don't even fall into the lowest possible energy? You make sure you catch yourself before it happens. Like if you are constantly in low energy, it means you need to take care of sleep, of hydration, of these basic things, of diet, of becoming more active or just maybe less active, whatever it is for you. Organizing these things, and it's all biological, so it's not so hard to do if you maybe read one book on how to improve your sleep, or read one book on how to start organizing your biological rhythms in your body and hormones and so on. That's the first way you start respecting yourself, right? Then mind doesn't want to be distracted all the time. It wants to be clear, it wants to be pure, like a beautiful window. That's a lens through which you see the world. If you're constantly grabbing your phone and distracting yourself, you're poisoning your mind. When your mind is poisoned, you will see only what's in resonance with the poison, right? So people don't experience life. People only experience what they're focusing on. And if you're constantly being distracted or not respecting yourself, you will see that all around you. You will see people that are not respecting you. You will meet circumstances that will not show respect to you. When you start practicing respect for yourself, like you wake up and you have some order in your day, you have some healthy food to cook, to eat, or whatever, you have something purposeful you're working on, even if it's just your job, you show up there as the best you with some passion. Even if you hate that job, still go there and be passionate about it, because that's how you're training yourself to be passionate about things. And if you recognize, oh, I don't have energy for that, well then you can maintain energy, you can cultivate higher energy by right practices, something we're talking about all the time, right? Morning routine, before bed routine, taking care of your sleep cycles. And yeah, you will do a lot. Mindset is so much here. Listening right information like these videos and reading right books, all of that will help you. And then learn to celebrate your small wins, my friend, so you can be proud of yourself. You can be proud of everything you're accomplishing. You see, sometimes we have days where we experience it seems like we are experiencing no progress. But if we would look at the micro progresses that we've done, we would recognize that maybe 2 months ago I've been less organized, or 2 months ago I've been less creative, or 2 months ago I've been less enthusiastic, or 2 months ago I've been less communicative, or 2 months ago I've been less driven. Now I'm slowly managing things. So just remind yourself to celebrate small wins, because life is not about winning big. Life is about being more present. And when you are more present, you can easily notice how much better your life is already going than it was maybe a few months ago. Even if you're not seeing what you want, there's still something that has improved. Maybe something is worse than it was. Well, acknowledge it and find out how you can change it. So you can learn to support yourself especially when you fall, right? So you can be a support for yourself, especially when you fall. So something I've started practicing in my life a long time ago is that if I'm working hard on something, I will also take a break and do nothing. So sometimes I go to travel, like right now I'm traveling, and I take more time for very simple pleasures, like whole day long not doing much and maybe walking around more frequently, or just sitting at some cafes and just watching people or talking to strangers, something I'm not doing frequently. So I get reminded of this other part of life, which is slow movement, and maybe celebrating or enjoying in the gifts that life blessed me with. That's how I am supportive to myself. Sometimes I go into a spa, or sometimes I go into a massage, and that's how I support myself. And sometimes I buy a book to myself and I read it, and that's how I support myself. So especially when you fall, like it's not something that maybe every single day you experience some kind of falls. Then I would say you should reorganize your life so these things are happening less frequently. Like you have some strong routines and you have some values and principles you're living by. Like one good value could be maybe coherency. Like I want to spend my day in a coherent state, which is not necessarily just a positive state, but maybe more pace. And then through the day, catching yourself when you lose pace, and instead of blaming something outside of you, you return back inside of you and notice where you've stopped managing and cultivating pace, right? And it leads us to the sixth thing, that is, be honest, not harsh. Be honest, not harsh. Truth doesn't need cruelty, right? So many times when we fail, or when we do something that we didn't want to experience, or something like that happens to us, we become very harsh towards ourselves. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you're a failure. Oh, whatever, right? Truth doesn't need cruelty. You can be honest and completely open-minded, completely objective. Once again, if it happened 10 times, still be objective. Still be honest and objective. And return back to it and try one more time. Like how many times we failed with some healthy habits. Like sometimes if, I don't know, you quitted smoking, or you quitted something that was unhealthy for you, maybe 50 times you quitted and you returned until at some point you found a better way to deal with that, right? The seventh reminder is nurture your inner world like a sacred garden. I have a practice of mine that here and there I do. I sit down and I visualize how my inner garden would feel without trying to manipulate it, because your subconscious mind will always show you how it is. And then you start taking care of it. Maybe you will notice there's a lot of leaves and a lot of stuff to pull out, and flowers need to be watered, and there's no birds, no butterflies, because you were not taking care of it. You've been maybe only taking care of your outer world, forgetting about your inner world. When you take care of your inner world, you will notice you start to feel more at peace, you start to feel more connected, more nourished, and then you go into the world and people will reflect that. Circumstances and events will reflect that to you. You will see. So nurture your inner world like a sacred garden. There's a quote that says the relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship that you have. The eighth reminder is act on what you know that is right. Act on what you know that is right. So write down the things that you know that would be right for you and start doing them. And when you maybe fall off doing it, just return back to it. Sometimes people say, I'm so lost. I'm so lost. But the truth is, you are not lost. You're just overwhelmed by too many thoughts that you haven't organized and prioritized. So if you feel like you're lost or you're stuck, just take a piece of paper, write down all the things that you know that would be right for you to do right now, prioritize them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and start accomplishing them. Start doing them. That's how you overcome the weakness of will. Your will became weak because you were not training it. Will is a muscle, right? And it becomes strong when you train it. When you do something willfully, when you decide this will be 5 things today I will focus on, and then you do it. Like right now, I just came from my morning run, and yesterday I said in the morning I will go for a run, and I'm traveling right now, so those are the things that helps me to stay in my center and to stay active and to keep working out. So I went for a run, and I did again a personal record, which is something I'm very proud of and grateful for. And it's also something that helps me to stay focused and to practice my will. Yesterday I said I will go for a run today in the morning. I went and I feel great right now. So practice it. Practice it. Act on what you know that is right. The 9th reminder, pause when guilt arises. Reflect, don't spiral. So there's 8 things that I want to remind you of not to feel guilty about. Don't feel guilty for moving on. Don't feel guilty for not responding immediately. You don't have to be accessible to everyone at all times. Don't feel guilty for saying no to things that don't feel good to you. Don't feel guilty for standing up for yourself. Don't feel guilty for being really good at something. Accept the compliment. Sometimes people will go, oh, you're so great, and you will be, no, stop that. Accept it. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you, right? Don't feel guilty for taking a break. Don't feel guilty for feeling good about yourself. Don't feel guilty for choosing yourself. Before I said don't feel guilty for saying no to things that don't feel good to you. When I say good to you, we could say healthy for you. Don't feel guilty for saying no to things that don't feel healthy to you, right? This will change you because you will recognize that you don't need guilt. Guilt is self-punishment. And you don't need to punish yourself for something that's good for you, for something that's healthy for you. So before you spiral into this negative emotion, reflect and know you're doing it because it is improving your life, because you deserve more, and because you've chosen to do it. You see, yesterday I've talked a little bit about hope. Hope is an ability that you can choose differently, right? That's what gives you hope. You have an ability to choose differently. If you're choosing differently, you don't need to feel guilty about it. Be grateful that you can do it, that life allowed you to do it, right? And the last reminder for you today, you are your longest commitment. Invest in you. You are your longest commitment. Invest in you. So to those of you who are feeling down, who are feeling lower energy, invest in yourself. If you don't know what to do, invest into someone who can help you to see it in a different way. Or invest into some teaching, some courses, some workshops, something that will level you up, that will help you to see pieces of yourself as a one big picture, right? So you don't lose yourself in one piece of yourself without noticing that you are quite more complex and that you've been through a lot and that you don't need to be defined by your past. But if you stay defined by your past, you don't even know that you're defined by your past, right? When someone says to you, hey, you're thinking way too much about only what you don't like about what happened to you. You see, in Course in Miracles, if you're familiar with it, there's this beautiful teachings that explains to us how to overcome attachments to pain that's related to something that we've been through. And it is change the story of the past. Return into the past and change the story. Because you experience what you focus on. If you're only focusing on what someone did to you, you will live in pain of what happened to you. But if you return back into that memory and notice what is the other side that you couldn't see back at the time, because your brain only creates meaning out of what you know. And if you didn't knew better, you only created a story that is most probably limiting for you right now. If you go back and notice that hurt people, or you notice that that person was drunk, or you notice that that person was very troubled, you can develop some kind of compassion for them and forgive to yourself. So that for so many years you've been living in this kind of burden and pain just because you didn't decide to forgive to that person because he or she didn't knew better, and also to forgive to yourself that you've been repeating this story in your mind for so many years and practicing self-suffering. Now you're allowed to be free, my friend. You're allowed to be free. So stop putting yourself down by listening to the voice of criticism and self-loathing in your head. You know better now, my friend. You know better. I hope you found great value in today's message. Let me know in the comment section what inspired you the most. And big thanks to everyone for choosing to buy my work, my art on AttractPassion.com by supporting this. So, well, if you found it valuable, go and see which painting will resonate with you the most. They were all created like symbols to remind us of what truly matters. Also join us on our Patreon community for shorter lessons and so much more. So check it out. The link is also in the description of this video. Until next time, one love.